Hello, today I will be doing a database subsetting job using IRI Voracity. This is under the pretense that you already have a database connection set up, and if not, we have some how-to videos on our YouTube channel. First things first is you have to create a new IRI project. So you can do that over here with the create a new IRI project or file new IRI project. We're just going to click this. We're going to give this a project name, and I'm just going to call this one subsetting. And I'm going to untick the populate library with data classes because we're going to be creating our own for this demonstration. We'll click finish. And here we have our IRI project. From here we can drop down and go into the IRI library. And here you see our data classes and rules library. Now just a little trick for you. We're going to go over to our database and our data source explorer. We're going to go into our schemas and then the table that we want to pick, which for me is going to be this one right here. So we're going to go ahead and right click it. We're going to select data, sample contents, and then down here you can actually see a sample of the content. This is really helpful whenever you're just trying to figure out what the database looks like, so that way you don't have to switch screens or anything like that. Okay, now back in our IRI library, we're going to go ahead and go to the library, this little icon, and select new data class. So I'm just going to name it a few things that I am going to be encrypting or masking or anything else you'd like. So I'm just going to give this a name of money. We're going to select OK. And we're going to go ahead and just do one more, and we're just going to call this one last name. All right. Now that we have our two data classes, we have to apply some rules to them in order for them to actually do something. So from here, you can either select create, or you can go to the rules section and then add. We're going to do a data rule. And I know for a fact I want to do some redaction, so I'm going to do a redaction rule. And we're just going to use the whole field. I'm going to click finish. Okay, and we're going to add one more rule. We're going to do data rules. We're going to do encryption or decryption. And we're going to do a format preserving encryption. We're going to click finish. And now we have two rules made. So now we have to apply these rules to our data classes. Okay, so going into the money data class I created, I'm going to give this a default rule of redaction. Now, under location matchers, essentially the difference between location and data is data actually looks for the information that you're providing within the data. The location goes based upon the column name. So for the location matcher, I'm going to go ahead and add, and we're just going to give this another name. Actually, we'll call this one salary, and we'll give this a pattern to match onto this column. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to also do the same thing for bonus and commission. And one more. Perfect. Now we have all three of these location matchers included under our default rule of redaction under our data class of money. Now we're going to move on to the last name data class that we created, and we're going to change the default rule to encryption. And from here, we're going to go into the location matchers again. And again, since this is last name, we just want it to match to this column. So we're going to add, give it a name, and do the location matcher like that. Just making sure that these match together. We're going to click OK. And now we're all set up to start doing our subsetting job. From this point, you can either go to the Voracity menu, drop down new subset job, or you can just go over to the table, right click, IRI, new subset job. From here, under the loader, if you leave this blank, it's just going to go out to a text file, but if not, you can just do ODBC, and that will actually make a new database with the sampled contents. Under the name, we're just going to leave it as default. We're going to click next, and the number of rows, we're just going to do a modest 15, and we're going to click next again. And here, I'm going to select the employee number as the sorting option. And if not, you can just leave it as blank and it'll just randomly sort it. We're going to click next. And here under the connection profile, we're going to do it in the same database, same schema name, and a prefix. This is essentially just giving the table a new name. So you can either do a prefix, a postfix, or you can name each of them individually. But since we only have one, I'm just going to leave it as a prefix, and I'm going to name this A2 test underscore. And now we have to set it, so we'll click the set button, and as you can see here, this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to click next. And these are our data classes that we created originally over here with the data rules applied to them. If you have a bunch of data classes, which you can use these options over here to select none or select all, and you can also just click if you don't want to use them or use them. So from here we're going to click next, and we're going to click finish. And now we have our new subset folder. And from here you see we have a DDL, a .scl, a .bat, a .flow, and a source target data. So this .bat, you can actually just right click this and you can do a run as batch program. And what that does is this has all the details about running each of these scripts individually. But for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and just show you what it looks like if you do it manually. So we're going to open up the DDL. We're going to go to the name. We're going to set it to the DB2, which is the database in which we're working in. Database sample. And we're going to go ahead and just right click, execute all. And you can see it executed. Now we're going to go over to the new subset.scl, and this has just some information as to what it's doing. It has an in file and out file. You can take a look at this whenever you'd like. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and right click over here in the Project Explorer. We're going to do run as an IRI job, and we're just going to go ahead and save and launch. Perfect. And just like that, everything should be all good to go. So we're going to go ahead and go back over to our Data Source Explorer. We're going to right click co-sort. We're going to go ahead and refresh that schema. We're going to go into our tables. And as you can see here, we have our A2 test employee. Okay. So just to give you an idea as to what it looked like before, we're going to go ahead and right click data, sample contents. And then this is the before, this is what the test data looks like, salary, bonus, commission, and then last name. And then here we'll go ahead and show you the contents from that. And as you can see, we have the format preserving encryption here, and then the redaction on the money, which is the salary, bonus, and commission. And just like that, you have officially completed your first subsetting job using IRI Voracity. Something to keep in mind, just a little side note, is when you're applying these rules and doing this subsetting job, you have to make sure that the result of the masking operation must adhere to the column data type. So in this instance, for salary, as you can see, bonus, commission, and last name. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're messing around and just creating these rules and classes with your own database. But this is a great tool to use for you to get your foot in the door and just really start getting warmed up to all the capabilities that the Workbench has to offer.